In our very first story, the Attorney General, Gloria Kufu, has been asked to retrieve for lawyers of Dr. Stephen Opuni all documents it may use in its prosecution of the case against the former Cocoa Chief Executive Officer. Appeals Court Judge Justice Clemens Honyanuga, who is sitting as an additional High Court judge, gave the order after the Director of Public Prosecutions, Yvonne Atakra Obobisa, explained to the court on Wednesday that the prosecution did not hand over documents with the Economic and Organized Crimes Office, EOCO, and other state agencies because it did not have those. The former Cocoa Chief Executive Officer is accused of causing financial loss to the state. Joy News' Joseph Akable was at the High Court and has come through with this report.
The state's legal team was led by Director of Public Prosecution, Yvonne Atakra Obobisa. The state was scheduled to call its first witness to the stand on Wednesday, but that did not happen as Dr. Stephen Opuni's lawyers notified the court that they were yet to receive some documents. The documents include letters written by Dr. Opuni to the Public Procurement Authority to sole source contracts for all fertilizers, certificates and reports issued by the Cocoa Research Institute of Ghana in relation to the fertilizer deal in contention, as well as contract documents for the supply of fertilizers since 2008. Lead counsel Samuel Kujo said he knows the documents exist, but the AG was refusing to make them available. The Director of Public Prosecution responded that all letters written by Dr. Opuni to the PPA are not in the possession of the AG's department. She argued same for the other documents which Mr. Kujo made reference to. After hearing, Justice Honyanuga ordered that the AG obtains those documents from the relevant organizations since it was clear they are crucial to the case of the defense. The case has been adjourned to July 9, 2018.
Members of Parliament's Finance Committee are calling for action from government and the Bank of Ghana to deal with the fast depreciation of the cedi. The currency in recent weeks has been on the decline, with traders now requiring 4 cedis 80 pesos to buy a dollar from 4 cedis 20 pesos at the beginning of 2017 when the Kufuor administration assumed office. The minority is warning the situation will get worse and $1 could be bought for more than 5 cedis by the end of the year. Deputy Minority Leader James Kluchaveji wants government to fix the problem. We'll bring you that sound bite later. Minority member on Parliament's Finance Committee, Dr. Kwabena Chum Nuyamahava, disagrees. He says the cedi is performing better than previous years, although more needs to be done to keep it stable.
I have the confidence in the managers of our economy that they will manage the situation unduly. I'm aware that the dollar has also improved in its value, so it's also affecting our currency. Obviously, we still have a long way to go to permanently solve the situation. We still import almost everything that we use in Ghana. So once we're importing more than what we export, you will have these challenges. And I believe that it will not be solved in a day. We still haven't built any, our manufacturing sector is still not working to the level that we all expect. So we are not exporting a lot. We're importing almost everything. So once a while, we are going to have some of these. But by and large, if you look at the general terms, the city has done creditably since this government came in. It doesn't mean we are out of the woods yet. We will be having some of these hitches. It will let us know that we've not solved the situation. So we need to do more to try and solve it once and for all.
In fact, your colleagues on the minority side are predicting from the current 4.8 it will hit 5.1 before the end of the year. Troubling times ahead for everyone if their prediction is to come to pass.
Well, we are all hoping for the best. We are hoping that it doesn't happen that way because nobody will be happy if it does happen. So let us look at the brighter side of life and have confidence in our managers of the economy that they will do something to try and save the situation. I believe that the Bank of Ghana can do something better to assist us in this direction. I have no doubt in my mind that the governor is up and he can solve the situation for us.
And at the level of central government itself, because the governor may just be doing currency control.
Obviously, we know the monetary policy, the Bank of Ghana plays a bigger role while the government does the fiscal policy bit. So they will both work to support each other to make sure we solve the situation because it doesn't inure to the benefit of anybody if our cedi loses value like it's doing currently. We must make sure we stabilize it for businesses to improve.
So let's go back to the earlier soundbite which we missed. We have the minority spokesperson on the Finance Committee talking about the fast depreciation of the cedi and something being required to be done quickly to avert the decline.
The value of the cedi will continue to depreciate, despite that we have the head of the economic management team, Dr. Baumia, who claimed to have the solution. I think that by now, he'll now come to a realization that to arrest the fall in value of the cedi, it's not about presenting a paper. It's gone beyond that. We believe that by now, if what he said when they were in opposition of being able to solve the problem of the fall in the value of the cedi, we would have having a situation by now where the value of the cedi should rather be appreciating but not depreciating. But between January 2017 to today, or end of June, the value of the cedi has depreciated over 26%. So that tells you that...
And it's 4.8 now. Then
yeah, 4.8, then it was 3.8. So if the simple arithmetic is to subtract 4.8 from 3.8, you get a negative figure. Divided by 3.8 and multiply by 100, you get 26 and above. So that tells you the rate of the depreciation.
Well, what is contributing to this?
Yes, there are a number of factors. Factors in the sense that it is the demand and supply factor.
Okay.
Now in 2017, the price of the fall in value, or the price of the dollar, didn't go up quickly as we are seeing now because of the borrowing that they did in 2017 in dollars. Now the borrowing in dollar brought in dollar into the system, so it saw the supply of dollar. So they were able to meet the demand, and for that matter, the price was a bit stable. Now we don't have those again. So to solve this problem,
to the bonds that...
Yeah, I'm making reference to the bond, the Ken bond, the 2.25 billion that they borrowed, were available for supply to the system. So, and that money, the 2.25 billion, will not be there forever. They have finished supplying that to the system. Now, we need more. If they don't borrow again to bring dollar into the system, they can't get supply, so the price will go up.
Before we get to solution, so the price will go up. It's 4.8 now.
It's 4.8. It's 4.8.
You think it will go higher?
Yeah,
before the end of the year?
It will go higher. If they don't go to make a big borrowing and bring dollar into the system, it will go to about 5.1 or 5.2 by the close of the year.
And that will obviously be worrying. Any suggested solutions?
Yeah.
Well, our government is fighting off assertions that the cedi is depreciating terribly under its watch. Deputy Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah says even though the cedi has not appreciated against the major trading currencies, the economic dynamics prove government is managing the situation better than it has under the previous administration.
If at the beginning the cedi to the dollar was 1 cedi to $1, it depreciated to 4 cedis to $1. That's a huge rate of depreciation. I haven't done the full math right here right now, but that's a huge rate of depreciation. If it further depreciates from 4 cedis to 4 cedis 80 pesos, of course 4 cedis 80 pesos is unprecedented, but the rate of depreciation between 4 and 4.8 is way, way, way lower than the rate of depreciation between 1 and 4.
Who does this kind of explanation benefit?
It is for our mutual edification, and then it is also to get us to understand, therefore, what is being done to ensure that it didn't go from 4 to 8, but has gone from 4 to, let's say, 4.8. But that is not to suggest that this ought to be the perfect scenario. That is why I'm explaining to you that, therefore, these are the steps that we are taking to ensure that we're able to hold on and possibly even get to a point in time where the currency appreciates. What happens affects all of us. And it is our desire to ensure that the situation is arrested and doesn't degenerate.
On the minority's prediction that the cedi will hit over 5 cedis to the dollar by the end of the year, the Deputy Minister said they should be ignored because previous predictions they've made amounted to nothing.
has predicted from the 2017 budget, if you recall.
Why should we ignore their predictions?
Because a lot of their predictions just fly out of the window. I'm sure you recall they said we're going to have mobile money tax. They said we're going to have all sort of taxes. They said that the deficit was going to be thrown out of gear last year in the year 2017. When it comes to questions of the economy, I don't think that the predictions of the minority are things that we want to hold on to. I am confident in the program of the government of Ghana. I believe we should rally behind that program and work with it. If it's excessive borrowing, and if you look at borrowing, for example, the amounts of borrowing that transpired in the last 8 years, no way compared to what we have had. Remember, last year, for example, we were able to bring down the deficit. You know why we were able to do it? Because we were able to reduce the rate of debt accumulation. That's lower borrowing than they were doing in the previous years. So that is really not the argument. As I've mentioned to you, the minority has a habit of doing all its sort of speculation and throwing things up in there. But they are not things that I enjoy following, because it doesn't come to pass. What matters is the administration's program, how it's implemented, and the numbers that it churns out at the end of the day.
Well, joining me in studio right now for some analysis on the depreciation of the Cedi is George Riafe of Joy Business. Before we get into the conversation itself, I'd like to look at the chart, what the charts say about the depreciation of the Cedi. So right here on the screen, you're seeing what the behavior of the Cedi in the last 2 years, according to XU.com. And XU.com, if you go there regularly, tells you the value or the exchange rate of the Cedi at any point in time. Right now, today, if we check, as you can see, for July, it says it's 4.800. So essentially, it is 4 Cedis, 80 pesos to the US dollar. Now, if we go back to the beginning of 2017, when the Akufo-Addo administration took office, that's, let's just stay with January. 1st January 2017, 1st January 2017, the rate or exchange rate was 4 Cedis, 28 pesos. So as it is, the Cedi hasn't done as terribly as is being made to suggest. But of course, it's seen some serious dips. And the major dip it had was somewhere in 2017, early 2017, where the Cedi went as low as 4.72. But then it gained. And so over the period, it gained until in the last few weeks that you can see that it is declining again. Even though on the charts you can see an appreciation, but what it actually means is that it is declining at that point. Now, George Riafe, he's been monitoring the numbers, and he joins me in the studio. He's going to be giving us some insights. What is happening to the dollar in the last 1 month?
So let's say it's a purely demand and supply issue here, Israel.
But what demand and supply factors are driving this?
On the supply side, where the foreigners who are foreign investors who buy into our local bonds are not bringing the dollars again, because they bring in these dollars, they give it to the commercial banks, and then they turn those dollars into Cedis and buy these bonds on their behalf. On the supply side, we are not seeing these investors coming in that much. The last 3-year bond that we issued was slightly undersubscribed. Those who had bought into these bonds, which serve sometimes as an additional dollar supply for government or even the Bank of Ghana, are also telling their banks that we need our investment back. So the banks, these local banks, have to go out there, look for more dollars, change it back into the dollars that they brought in, and send it to them. And it's if you have little supply on the market, obviously more Ghana Cedis chasing few dollars in circulation. And that is why we have seen this kind of pressure on the Cedi, because we are an import economy. Go to a house at this Legon and they'll tell you they pay $3,000 a month.
All right.
International schools, dollars. So everybody wants to keep dollars. When I have a feeling that Israel, in the next 5 months, 2 months, the Cedi would fall, somebody will withdraw like 50,000 from his account, go and buy dollars. And
in effect, there could be some speculative activity also embedded in there.
Under normal circumstance, I should trust my currency. If I have a little indication as a businessman, listen, even if you go to Port, it is said that all the agencies there, these are government agencies, they have different rates they are quoting to the dollar, because we deal with international firms and all the rest. So If I import cars, I want to hold dollars in my account so that I can use that to collect goods at the port. Because you're having a situation where people do not need the dollars, but because they are afraid that things could get bad, they are holding dollars in their account. And the last count, if you look at dollar deposits, you're looking at over $5 million.
Right. Now, if we look at the charts, there's an indication somewhere early 2017 that we went to as far as 4.72 thereabout. It then declined, or the Cedi regained some value. Can we project that probably there's some cyclical factors playing?
There are seasonal effect. So you look at end of year, where businesses would want to restock. So for instance, multimedia, we are bringing in cameras, recorders, and all those things, and we have to import. The little cities in our account need to go out there, look for dollars, and do the transaction. So you look at sometimes December, January, February, March, there's a lot of pressure on the Cedi, and it depreciates. Then you also want to look at fast forward maybe August, September, Eurobond, cocoa syndication, and all the rest, and the Cedi remains strong. So those are the seasonal effects that we always see, because when we are bringing in a lot, also some would say that there's an MTN IPO going on. And the argument being put forward here is that there are some investors who are holding shares of MTN. Now, what is happening is that MTN is trying to crimp or give away part of those shares to Ghanaians. What it means is that these guys put into these shares dollars. So if you're doing that switch, you need to also go and get some dollars and send to these investors. What the Bank of Ghana, we understand they are trying to do is that, okay, for most of these companies, stagger the disbursement to your investors out there. Even when you are paying dividend, at a point in time, one company in Ghana here was sending out about $50 million, sometimes in a week, to their shareholders outside.
So the repatriation of
capital flights and all those things have contributed. But again, we shouldn't forget about the fact that everything has been dollarized.
What is the Bank of Ghana saying about the situation right now?
Well, engaging them personally, you have the feeling that things are under control. Don't panic. If you look at our reserves, dollars, we have over $8 billion. But that's gross reserves. What about net reserves? The actual dollar cash that they are holding. And therefore, some would say that as a country, you should be careful on the amount of dollars you also pump into the system, because it appears the mechanisms or the security checks are not enough. So you have a situation where they say that people from even our neighboring countries come to Ghana, buy the dollars, and it goes away. So it's more of pouring the water into a bucket that is leaking. And you should be careful, because we've not got into the dry season yet. If you lose all your reserves, you could talk about crisis for the economy.
All right. Thank you very much, George Uafe. George Uafe from Joy Business has joined us to give us some enlightenment as far as the depreciation of the Cedi is concerned. We're taking a break here on Joy News Prime, but still, I had 3 soldiers with the Ghana Armed Forces in the Brunhafo region have been accused of brutalizing some minors. They are accused of stealing their laptop. We'll be back in a bit. Stay tuned. Three soldiers with the 3rd Battalion Infantry 3BN in the Brunhafo region have allegedly brutalized 4 minors accused of stealing a laptop belonging to one of them. The boys, aged between 13 and 16 years, were picked up on Sunday, June 24, 2018 at about 3 a.m. and driven to the Sunyani barracks. Reports indicate that the soldiers allegedly threatened to kill the boys if they do not confess the crime. The victims have maintained they were innocent. Precious Somerville's report.
The soldiers, whose names were given as O.C. Prempe, Sergeant Edujemfi aka Shakor, and Ebo Mensa, allegedly beat the boys with metals and sticks to get them to confess to stealing the laptop. The assaults allegedly continued even in their individual houses as the soldiers searched and vandalized their rooms. The boys, however, maintained their innocence. One of them with deep cuts on his head needs stitches, while the others suffered injuries to different parts of their bodies, as well as fractures on the hand. The boy narrated their ordeal when the news team visited them at their home at Kotokrom in Tunyane.
They threatened to kill me if I don't confess. They ransacked my room after taking me to my mother's house. They beat me with stick and revived me with water when I collapsed for about 3 times. But I was helpless thereafter until the military came to rescue me and took me to the hospital. We maintain we know nothing about the missing laptop.
Father of one of the victims, Abukari Cedi, told Joy News he fears the torture the boys have gone through may affect them in future and appeal to the president to ensure they get justice.
Soldiers are trained to be law-abiding and offer us protection. But that is not what these soldiers gave us. The painful death of Major Adams Mahama last year is still fresh on our minds. And for these soldiers to brutalize the children, not because they were caught in the act, but as suspects. The repercussions of their acts on the children may not manifest now, but in future. Some of them urinate with pain in their manhood. Where do I get money to cater for my son who has a fractured hand? I appeal to the father of the nation, Nana Akufo-Addo, and other well-meaning Ghanaians to help us get justice.
Brangahafo Regional Director of Shraj, Halimatu Nuhu, confirmed the incident, adding they have written to the Military High Command in Tunyane for the soldiers involved to respond as part of their investigations. She advised the parents to seek proper medical care for the children since they complain of pains during urination.
Yes, I can confirm that last Thursday, a parent came here to complain that his child with 2 other children were tortured, allegedly tortured by some military officers. As a result, we've taken the complaint and we've written to the military command and the individual officers allegedly involved in the torture. So we are waiting for the comments and we follow up on that. And advised her to go to the regional hospital to have the child checked.
Precious Samovas report for Joy News.
Also, the chiefs and people of 4 towns in the eastern region have given government a 1-week ultimatum to stop former First Lady Nana Akufo-Addo Rawlings and a real estate firm, Cohen's Estate, from unlawfully taking over their lands and further causing harm to them. Indigents of the 4 towns, Adwajiri, Intuaso, Ureku, and Akwamu, are threatening to use every means necessary to protect themselves and their properties if government fails to act. Maxwell Kudoko was at a demonstration to drive home their demand and filed this report.
The demonstration started from Adwajiri Park through to Adwajiri Zongo, principal streets of Nsawam, and ended with a presentation of petition to the president through the municipal chief executive of the area, Samuel Kojo-Buahin. The demonstrators wielded placards with inscriptions capturing their grievances. They alleged Cohen's Estate Limited, acting on behalf of Caridam Development Company Limited, has deployed land guards to terrorize them to vacate their properties. They said, among other things, the land guards have shot several landowners and farmers within the Ntwaso community and continue to terrorize them. According to the demonstrators, the Supreme Military Council compulsorily acquired their lands by Executive Instrument E1 31 for pineapple production in 1977 to cover the approximately 635.20 acres of land at Nsawam. They alleged former First Lady Nana Akufo-Addo Rawlings connived with officials at the Lands Commission to acquire the land and are using land guards to forcefully eject occupants. Nana Kweku Nyako is Kontihene of Ntoaso and one of the leaders of the demonstration.
What we want to say emphatically is that our ancestors and our forefathers have lived on the land for more than 200 years. And that we have been settling there and have settled there over this period, and nothing like that has happened to us. We are demanding from government and from those who think they have acquired the place that they should desist from going on with the actions that they intend to undertake.
Some chiefs within the four communities and residents also expressed their frustration.
Some residents are living on the supposed land. We also have our farms and churches there as well. Also, land guards have attacked some youth who visited their farmlands some time ago.
If someone calls to penal langas from here, the almost broke, almost real now.
So who say the demonstration here? That's who say here. The someone that advise your wife. You say you are a man of integrity. This is a man of integrity. Don't like corruption. Advise your wife. Simple. Sir, me so
Attempts to contact Kwan's estate and the former First Lady for their side of the story proved futile. Maxwell Kudakos reports for Joy News.
We're taking a break here on Joy News Prime to bring you business news, but later on, after business news, dates to the governing new patriotic party's National Delegates Conference this weekend, where new executives will be elected. The acting national chairman is being accused of vote buying with his promise to make available 275 buses for each constituency of the party.
These buses were bought with a bank facility in excess of $11 million US.
We'll be back with business news. Stay tuned.
Hello again, good evening to you and welcome to business. Now, if you thought the recent sharp depreciation of the Cedi is over, it appears you may have to revise your notes. The local currency has witnessed one of its highest falls so far this year, reaching 4 cedis 85 pesos. What is causing this and what can be done to contain the challenge? There's more in this report.
Checks showed most of the major banks were quoting 4 cedis 82 pesos and 4 cedis 85 pesos as the selling rate for $1. This should mean since last Friday, the cedi has lost about 7 pesos in value. Some of the banks have told Joy Business that it was due to most foreign investors trying to get out of the local bond market due to higher returns in the U.S. market. Sources say some of the investors are not bringing in the required dollars due to concerns with the interest on long-term bonds as well as the outlook. Some banks also say the Bank of Ghana is not releasing enough dollars to meet their demands, with some maintaining that the situation would not have gotten this bad if the regulator had intervened a bit earlier. But head of finance market at the Treasury at the Bank of Ghana, Stephen Opata, disagrees.
Actually increase our tempo of Bank of Ghana sales of FX to the market. So I expect the situation to continue and for us to have a very stable currency as we have experienced for most of the first quarter. And if you see that we will not be talking about the currency hopefully very soon.
There's also the school of thought that the cedi is overvalued and some level of depreciation is required to get its right levels. For some, if this challenge is not contained very soon to prevent further depreciation, then that might not be good for the economy, looking at the impact of sustained depreciation of the cedi on fuel prices, imported items, spare parts, transport fares, and even mortgage. It could also force the Bank of Ghana to hike interest rates to help minimize its impact on inflation.
And in a related development, government says it is currently implementing some new measures that should help deal with the recent pressure on the cedi. Kweku Kwating is Deputy Minister of Finance.
We need to take a long-term view of this. I think in the long term, we want to, one, ensure that we reduce our over-dependence on imports on items that can be manufactured here. And so when you hear one district, one factory, the idea is to seek to produce some of the things that we need, that at the moment we import, to seek to produce them in Ghana. But also, we should also take steps, and we are doing that, to ensure that the repatriation of forex by entities doing business in the economy are properly regulated. And that I am confident the Bank of Ghana is looking at and is capable of delivering on. I am confident that ultimately the strategy to add value to the things we produce would help us earn foreign exchange, but more importantly, as we seek to produce the things we need, we will require less of forex, and therefore the pressure on our Cedi would be reduced. In the long term, that's how government looks at these.
Now, government and the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders (GIF) are still in contention over implementation of the cargo tracking notes policy, otherwise known as CTN. Whereas freight forwarders claim the implementation of the policy would impose extra cost on them, government insists the new arrangement will come with no cost to the importer. President of GIF, Kwamina Owusu-Appiah, however, says it may head to court to stop GRA from continuing the policy which started on July 1 this year.
I will talk in front of you. I don't want to talk behind you. Who tell you say you go pay money?
This was the reaction of some executives of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders (GIF) when Deputy Minister of Trade and Industries Carlos Ahenkra paid them an unexpected visit in Tema. The misunderstanding here is on the implementation of the cargo tracking note CTN, which took effect on Monday, July 1. The policy, which was suspended twice for lapses in the operational documents, began full implementation last Monday. This has infuriated some freight forwarders.
The new manifest that shipping lines are using have every information government and GAR wants to use for processing of transactions. So today, now they are telling us it's not going to come with cost. How can GRA absorb that cost?
This is the third attempt by the Ghana Revenue Authority to implement the policy. On two occasions, GIF kicked against the implementation, prompting an action from government. Joy Business cited a document dated May 28, 2018 from the Office of the President and signed by the Secretary to the Vice President Augustine Bray suspending the implementation. However, another letter dated June 4, 2018 by the Director General of the GRA indicated the authority would go ahead on a 6-month trial period. Currently, the development has left members of GIF in a confused state.
This down, all of my shippers call me about the CTN, which is a cargo tracking note. And they went to their various shippers and said they know how to do. So my issue is, what are we doing now in this country?
Other port agents alleged the CTN is illegal.
Per the treaties that customs have with the World Trade Organization and World Customs Organization, they are able to assess export documents without another person, a third party, getting involved in this export document. But as it stands now, and per the CTN's requirement, an export document is supposed to be attached as one of the additional documents required.
President of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, Kwabena Ofosu-Appiah, said the GRA has no legal backing for the implementation.
We can lay down our tools, which we are prepared to do. This will not be uncharted grounds for us at all. We have legal options too. We can go to court to test the law on the issues of why a law sits in the bosom of a ministry and another authority seeks to carry out the mandate of another ministry's legislation.
Even though the directive from the Vice President is clear, Deputy Minister for Trade and Industries, Carlos Ahenkra, is in support of the GRA.
Any cargo that has a bill of lading date 1st of July would have a cargo tracking number on the bill of lading. So even before the cargo gets here, the customs authority would have an idea of what is coming in that container and see if that is the true value of what they say it is.
So where would the authority be getting money for to bear this additional cost?
Why don't we leave that for the authorities?
The cargo tracking note is a platform for collection and management of commercials and logistical information relating to the cargo and ship from port of loading to the port of discharge. This new policy makes it mandatory for shipments to Ghana to have this unique tracking note, and failure to do so will mean the cargo would not be cleared.
The Public Procurement Authority, PPA, has assured it is going to enforce the necessary laws concerning sole sourcing and restrictive tendering. Although the PPA is the only body that the law authorizes to grant approvals for sole sourcing and restrictive tendering processes, there have been calls for another body to approve procurements. However, Chief Executive of the Public Procurement Authority, Ejenim Boateng-Enim, says his office has what it takes to perform its duties alone. He was speaking at the launch of the maiden journal of the Ghana Institute for Procurement and Supply.
The maiden edition of the GIPS journal and the ever-first local procurement journal intends to help make the role of the Ghana Institute of Procurement and Supply in national development more effective. The launch brought together professionals and students of the procurement and supply chain. Chief Executive of the PPA, Ejenim Boateng-Enim, says his office has what it takes to enforce existing regulations alone.
Now, we believe that the board, the composition of the board of PPA is more stronger than any of the other structures provided in the law. So if the PPA board reviews a request, we do not see how that request should be subjected to any other review body. The other review bodies are not institutions on their own. They are just ad hoc committees that are put together. They are members who come and review a contract which is above a certain threshold.
Meanwhile, the CEO of the Ghana Institute of Procurement and Supply, Colin Sapong, noted the journal could serve as a reliable source of education on procurement issues.
This journal, we are even treating some of them. Even when we talk of savings, how can you say you are saving when you are spending? Because procurement, you are going to buy, you are going to pay money, and you are saying you are saving. So when a procurement person says that we are giving savings or value for money. So some of these things have been treated, written, so that people, policymakers, the media, and other professional people will understand procurement.
The journal will be issued quarterly.
And that's all in business for tonight. Many thanks for your company. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. For more business, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Have a good evening.
Ahead of the governing New Patriotic Party's upcoming National Delegates Conference, four-time chairman aspirant Stephen Ntim is appealing to delegates to reward him for his dedication, commitment and loyalty to the party. According to Mr. Ntim, rewarding his loyalty will galvanize the youth in the party to sacrifice their time and energy to support the prosecution of its agenda. He was speaking at a news conference here in Accra.
Stephen Ntim's unprecedented fourth attempt at becoming the national chairman of the party. Putting all other considerations aside, I am humbly pleading with all our delegates that this unwritten reward system must apply by voting massively for me as chairman of the party on 7th July in Kufuor. Wow. If we succeed in doing this by allowing the truth to prevail on the 7th of July, by being genuinely truthful to ourselves, it will go a long way to motivate the younger generation to also work in the same selfless spirit for the party. That is what we all want. This is my clarion call on our distinguished delegates to help preserve this noble, unwritten MPP tradition. I'm entreating you to support me to win the election as well as to deliver on this promise. of work.
The team also accused the acting chair of the party, Freddie Blay, of vote buying barely 3 days to the conference. He says the decision to buy 275 minibuses for constituencies is an attempt to influence the vote.
Really in love with your party or any organization that you belong to, and you are really in love with it, you don't wait till a situation arises where you need favor from the people or the members of that association before you say, I'm giving you this. If you do that, it amounts to vote buying. I'm sure you all know that. You know it. Why is it that during the 2016 campaign, you didn't bring 275 pickups? I'm talking about pickups, not even buses. But you wait till when you say, vote for me and get these buses. That amounts to vote buying, I think so. If these things had come way back 2014, 2015, 2016, I would have said, oh, this is in good conscience, but not when you are asking for votes.
Meanwhile, the minibuses promised by the acting national chairman and chairman aspirant, Freddie Blay, were outdoored on Wednesday. Richard Nyama explains the acquisition of the buses through a financing agreement of over $11 million was guaranteed by Freddie Blay.
These buses were bought with a bank facility in excess of $11 million US, and the loan will be paid back. And in actual fact, the banks will make a profit on this. But the constituencies at the end of each month would also have some monies, at least half of the earnings go into their accounts to run the constituency business. And so, we are not taking the risk of giving the buses to each and every constituency to go keep them. If you go to my constituency, for instance, Pandai, this bus will not last a week because of the terrible roads. Secondly, they may not get enough business to make it profitable. And so Mr. Freddie Blay and his associates have gone into an agreement with STC, which is a public company, but has also taken on private buses and vehicles to run for them. And so this is not new. If you have your buses and you want to enter such an agreement with the STC company, you can. And they will run it professionally. We are hoping that in the next 2 years, we would have paid off the loan to the banks. The buses become permanently that of the constituencies, and we would encourage the constituencies to continue to let STC run those buses. And out of that, in a year, they should be able to buy another new bus. And if it happens they have 2 buses, in every 6 months they should be able to add another fleet.
Meanwhile, voting region executives of the New Patriotic Party have endorsed acting national chairman Freddie Blay as the best candidate in the chairmanship race to help the governing party retain power. According to them, Mr. Blay has a charisma and expertise essential in winning elections. Attributes, they say, were evident in the landslide victory the NPP recorded in the 2016 general elections under his leadership.
Mr. Freddie Blay proved to the then demoralized and hopeless patriots of our tradition that with determination and a can-do spirit, we rock the boat safely to the shores, the result of which we now pride ourselves as the most popular political party in the country, having recaptured power from the National Democratic Congress with a landslide victory. Ladies and gentlemen, the first assignment Freddie Blay effectively executed was successful delegate conference in Sunyani, coupled with successive reform that stabilized and made then opposition New Patriotic Party a united force ready for action. Freddie Blay's personal support to the development of the Volta region, and for that matter, MPP in general, is unmatched, as we have been witnesses to significant changes that have projected the MPP victory ahead of the general elections. We can only say at this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, that Freddie Blay has done what Napoleon could not do.
The Veterinary Service of Ghana says the 11,000 birds said to have been killed by the H5 avian influenza, also known as bird flu, could be inflated. There are reports that over 11,000 of the birds have died from the disease in the Ashanti and Eastern regions. But the service is blaming the latest outbreak on the lack of strict adherence to biosafety measures on the part of poultry farmers. There's more in this report.
The Ghana National Association of Poultry Farmers is calling for an audit into the number of birds destroyed by the bird flu outbreak to ensure appropriate compensation. Speaking on the pulse, President of the Association, Napoleon Ajimanodro, says the association is also conducting its own investigations to ascertain the number of birds which died through the infection and those destroyed so far.
Somebody with over 10,000 stocks, definitely the records will show. And we are doing our own separate investigation. We see how it's been recorded now that to arrive at the figure we saw. But in the meantime, once they have given it to Joy News or Daily Graphic as the figures they receive from them, we have accepted to work with it until we finish with our own investigation. There is the need for an audit. The fact that I post, say, 11,000 or 10,000 at my farm is not to say that I'm guaranteed for compensation. There is a need for audit. That must be carried.
In an interview with Joy News, however, Head of Public Health and Food Safety, Dr. Bashiru Boy Kikimoto, says the figures provided by the affected farmers are questionable, as some farmers deliberately increase the figures to receive high compensations.
From the latest statistical analysis of the number of births and deaths, we have realized that the 11,000 was on the higher side, in the sense that the farmers gave figures before veterinary came there. We have to ask you questions about the whole farm. So they will give you figures that they had. And if they don't have proper documentation, you have to take their books and see the total stock and those things. But they will tell you how many died that were not in. So you have to add all those ones into the one that you came and met. And that's why sometimes the figures, there's plus, minus.
About 28 of farmers under the Poultry Farmers Association did not receive their share of the compensation when a similar outbreak occurred in 2016. Napoleon Ajimanodro explains the Minister of State in charge of livestock has been petitioned for release of the rest of the money by the veterinary service.
We thank Parliament so much for approving 11 million Cedi for handling the bird flu in 2016. The component that was supposed to go for farmer compensation was about 2.8 or about 3 million Cedi. Unfortunately, not all the farmers received their compensation. There were about 28. We found out from the veterinary and were told that the money as approved, not all of them were received. And for that matter, the first tranche that came, they paid some farmers. And they were waiting to receive the next tranche, and unfortunately, it didn't come. We have sent a petition to the Minister in charge of Minister of State in charge of livestock regarding these farmers whose livelihood has been displaced for the last couple of years, almost about 2 years. They haven't received it out of business.
Meanwhile, a farm in Tema has lost 450 birds to the outbreak. Dr. Boy Kikimoto hinted some signs to look out for when buying live chicken from the market in order to prevent animal-to-human transfer of the H5 influenza virus.
Go to the market, look at the chunks of the chicken, the thighs.
Okay.
You see red patches on it. Please don't touch it. If you go to buy a new fowl, look at the comb and the wattles. If they change from red to bluish a little, don't buy that, because maybe on the way it wouldn't die. It's a sign that it's having Newcastle. It was incubated, just showing. So these are some of the simple signs every Ghanaian should look for.
Okay.
And if you are not sure anything, please call veterinary services. Let us assist you. Because we don't want anybody to die from bird flu. Even though our numbers are few, we are still making sure that Ghanaians don't get animal diseases. Yeah.
Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu says nothing short of absolute neutrality and professionalism will be expected of the President's nominees to the Supreme Court if he and his colleagues are to be convinced they were appointed on merit. The President, through the advice of the Judicial Council, approved the nomination of 4 individuals, including Justice Samuel Mafusal and Justice Agnes Doji, to the Apex Court. The 2 were among 5 individuals who sat on the Chief Justice's committee that recommended the removal of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Charlotte Osei, on grounds of stated misbehavior and incompetence. The Minority Leader tells Joy News, though the nominees' involvement with the committee may be coincidental, they would have to prove they are competent enough to occupy their new offices.
Have always been for Parliament, and for that matter, Ghana as a country, to take a position on a limited number of justices of the Supreme Court who are appointed. We have borrowed largely our constitutional jurisprudence from the United States of America, and in the US, you have a maximum of 9 justices of the Supreme Court. I should think that in Ghana, the number of justices of the Supreme Court at all times should not exceed 11. And at worst, you can't even say 13. But we need to provide for a maximum ceiling. I'm sure I shared this in a paper which I presented to the Cedi, the Center for Democratic Development, some 4 or 5 years ago. And we need to have a national conversation on it. We cannot have unlimited number of justices of the Supreme Court. Some coincidence of the appointment are quite intriguing and exciting, but early yet, I think that we will examine them by their competence, their intellectual standing, appreciation and knowledge of the law, their temperament when the matter is so referred to, the appointments committee. But the administration of justice is a sine qua non even to the attraction and retention of foreign direct investment. Businesses and investors must have confidence in an independent adjudication system. We have an independent and fearless judicial system. We need to work to improve its image and integrity as a country. The persons going into those offices.
The head of emergency services at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, Dr. Emmanuel Ahiable, has advised gym owners to install at least 1 defibrillator in their facilities. Demonstrating how the machines work, the emergency specialist said having such an equipment is a crucial intervention to avoid accidents leading to death. His comments come on the back of the death of the former Vice President Kwesi Emis Arthur, who died at the gym last week. Dr. Ahiable has been speaking to my colleague Kojo Yangsing.
The defibrillator is a device or a machine we use to resuscitate patients or to revive patients who have cardiac arrest or heart attack. Defibrillator is a very important device we use in basic life support. For that matter, in reviving somebody who needs first aid in terms of cardiac arrest or heart attack. It helps, work on the heart to revive the heart, which stops working when somebody has cardiac arrest or heart attack. It serves as a pump. In this case, like electrical pump, to pump the heart to work when the heart is either lazy or is sleeping or stops working. Automated external defibrillator is the ones we use at the gyms, at the shopping malls, at the airports, outside the hospital. The way it works is that there's electrical wave which goes through the heart, like I said earlier on. When somebody's heart stops working, we have, during BLS, basic life support or first aid, the defibrillator is the first device we need. When we call for help, for somebody to come and help you, the helper goes to the defibrillator. He then attaches it to the heart with cardiac arrest or heart attack. This, we start with 120 joule. That's the minimum, energy we can start with. Then we have 2 parts. This part is placed on the apex, That's the heart, where the heart is the left side of the chest. And this one is placed, the sternum, is placed on the shoulder. That is the right side of the chest. We apply a gel on the chest of the patient. Then there's a prompt here. You charge first, realize that it's a shockable rhythm. It gives you the prompt to shock the patient. So that's why the defibrillator is very important. Because if the defibrillator is not applied to the chest of the patient, you wouldn't know whether the victim needs to be shocked or not.
The grand finale of the 2018 National Maths and Science Quiz comes off at the National Theatre on Thursday, bringing to an end weeks of keen contests involving students drawn from over 160 schools. First-time finalists, West African Senior High School, will be battling it out with previous winners at Cedel College and St. Peter's Senior High School. Ahead of tomorrow's clash, Nancy Emefa-Jiradoze takes you down memory lane to bring you major highlights of the 2018 contest.
As this year's National Science and Math Quiz draws to a close on Thursday, after an exciting run, various schools have been putting their science and math acumen to test in what's been arguably the most popular edition of the contest. First-time finalists West Africa Senior High School will face one-time winners at Cedel College and two-time winners St. Peter's Senior High School in the grand finale at the National Theatre on Thursday. But let's take you back to how the journey has been so far for the three finalists. We begin with two-time winners St. Peter's Senior High School. They came into this competition after going through the regional contest and finally making it to the national. It was a walk in the park for Pesco boys as they beat St. Martin's and Notre Dame Senior High School with 49 points, which saw them progress to the 1/8 stage. They faced seeded school Jechie Promso and Fijai Senior High School. They managed to win with 62 points, while the others trailed with 19 and 20 points. At the quarterfinal, St. Peter's were paired with Wesley Girls High School and last year's runner-up St. Thomas Aquinas in what many predicted to be a mouth-watering contest. But at the end of 5 rounds,
St. Peter's Senior High School has 63 points.
The final lap was the semi-finals, where they came up against last year's semi-finalist Mauli Senior High School and the Jolali Boys Keta Senior High Technical School, where St. Peter's once again pulled through with 35 points, bringing them closer to winning their 3rd title after the last picked in 2005.
St. Peter's Senior High School, congratulations on winning the contest. Well done. I look forward to seeing you at the grand finale.
Let's now talk about the Zebra Boys at Cedel College. They came into this year's competition as a seeded school, as they were finalists placing 3rd. They have been in the finals for 4 consecutive times. They first came up against higher scoring school in the prelims, Osei Tutu Senior High School and Ola SHS from Ho. At this school, as they are called, progressed to the semi-finals after winning with 47 points. They further met San Dema Senior High School and St. Louis at the quarterfinals. It was an easy qualification for Cedel, as they won with 58 points, with the others picking 26 points respectively.
At Cedel College, congratulations on winning the contest. Rounds 1 and 2 were impressive. Well done for that. Please prepare, and I look forward to seeing you in the semi-finals.
They were yet again paired with two-time winners in Fantipem Senior High School and Ghana National College, an all-central regional affair. But after 5 heated rounds, it was the Zebra Boys who made it out, giving them the chance to win this for the second time. Now let's talk about the school that has taken everyone by surprise in this year's National Science and Math Quiz, West Africa Senior High School. They came into this competition as a seeded school, having been kicked out by Mauli Senior High School in the quarterfinals last year. Abdul Hamid and Sahini Ako represented WAS in last year's competition, whilst they were in Form 2. This year, they have come in better and improved, as they have proved to be a force to reckon with. The first came up with Konongo Odumase Senior High School, the school that's had the second highest score in the prelims with 61 points. WAS managed to beat Konongo Odumase at the 1-8 stage with 62 points, ahead of Konongo Odumase, who scored 55 points. In fact, in that contest, both schools scored perfect scores in the third round and round 4.
As for Konongo Odumase and West Africa, no problems with the problem of the day. And it gives me great pleasure to award perfect scores to both schools.
As if that was not enough, the Wazarians went on to beat Tamale Senior High School and Kumasi Senior High Technical School at the quarterfinals. Ahead of the semi-final clash with defending champions Prempeh College, many predicted and tipped Prempeh to win it easily against WAS and Krobo Girls. But unfortunately for Prempeh, there was a plot twist as WAS matched Prempeh boot for boot, leading them with 7-point difference. Prempeh got some 45 points, whilst the WAS Heroes got 52 points, placing them in their first ever finale, putting them close to winning the ultimate at the 2018 National Science and Math Quiz.
Prempeh College, thank you for being here and for giving us a good contest. I know you were hoping to go to the final. Unfortunately, today didn't work out. WAS was too much. Best wishes, best wishes. West Africa Senior High School. Congratulations on winning the contest. Very well done. Well done. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the grand finale. Congrats, congrats.
Thursday promises to be lit, as all students of the participating schools cannot wait to claim their bragging rights over their adversaries. Stay tuned to Joy News for all the updates. Nancy Emefa-Jadosi, Joy News.
Now, the 2018 competition has been filled with some emotional moments. We leave you with a picture story of the outpouring of emotions at the University of Ghana Business School, where the competition took place. Time now for a recap of the headlines here on Joy News Prime. 3 soldiers with the Ghana Armed Forces in the Brahafo region have been accused of brutalizing some minors. They, in turn, accused of stealing their laptop. The minority has raised concerns about the sharp decline in the value of the cedi in recent weeks and urged government to take action. But government says the situation is not as bad as the minority is suggesting. Government has meanwhile assured it will implement new measures to help deal with the pressure on the cedi. And with days to the governing New Patriotic Party's National Delegates Conference this weekend, where new executives will be elected, the acting national chairman has been accused of vote buying, with his promise to make available 275 buses for each constituency of the party. Okay, my name is Azrulai. Thank you very much for watching. You have a good night too.
This is Joy News Prime.